On the evening of May 27, 2023, 29-year-old Giulia Tramontano vanished from the small town of Senego in the province of Milan. She was 7 months pregnant with a baby boy when she stopped answering calls and texts from family and friends. Her phone went silent all of a sudden. It was her boyfriend Alessandro Impagnatiello who first reported that she was missing. The 30-year-old barman at Milan's upscale Armani Bamboo Bar claimed that when he got home from work, their shared apartment was empty, and he had no idea where his pregnant partner had gone. From the start, too many strange things surrounded this case. Giulia had left most of her personal items behind, and her plans for the next few days showed no indication that she was planning to disappear. As investigators began piecing together her final days, they would uncover even more disturbing information. Born on May 2, 1994 in Naples, Giulia was raised in a close-knit family that provided unwavering support and love. From a young age, her parents instilled in her the values of independence and self-confidence. Despite embracing modern ideals, family traditions remained deeply important to them, and she could always return home for comfort and guidance. Giulia excelled academically at her local school, particularly in the arts. Her interest in real estate stemmed from her passion for architecture, combined with her entrepreneurial spirit and ambition to become a successful real estate agent. After high school, she pursued a degree in the field, where her analytical mind and excellent communication skills quickly established her as a rising expert. By age 25, she had built a solid reputation in the industry. But Giulia wanted more. She dreamed of life in a major city filled with opportunities. Recognizing that her hometown's market had limitations, she made a life-changing decision. Stories from friends about Milan's vibrant opportunities convinced Giulia to make the leap. She saw the city as a symbol of freedom, new connections, and the career advancement she craved. By the end of 2020, her mind was made up. She packed her belongings, bid farewell to family and friends, and embarked on what she hoped would become her new life. Milan's real estate market proved fast-paced and highly competitive, demanding confidence and persistence. Giulia adapted quickly, building networks, attending industry events, and closing deals. Her new life was exciting, but amid all her professional success, she yearned for something more: genuine happiness and companionship. This desire led her to Alessandro Impagnatiello. They met at a Milan bar, where colleagues had invited her to celebrate a successful deal. Alessandro worked as a bartender at the city's swanky Armani Bamboo Bar and was known for being charming, outgoing, and naturally gifted at connecting with people. He was a year older than Giulia. She was immediately drawn to his confidence and charisma. With him, she could relax, temporarily forget work stress, and simply enjoy the moment. Their relationship began smoothly in those first weeks: dinner dates, evening walks through the city, and late-night conversations about the future. Alessandro mentioned having a son from a previous relationship, but assured her that he was moving forward with his life and that his past was behind him. Giulia believed she had finally found her life partner. They fell in love quickly and decided to move in together after just a few months. She was certain that her move to Milan had fulfilled both her professional ambitions and personal happiness. She believed Alessandro was the man she would spend the rest of her life with, unaware of the secrets he harbored or how dramatically her decision would alter her fate. Behind Alessandro's confident exterior lay a deeply unstable life in Milan. Working at an upscale establishment, he was constantly surrounded by wealthy clientele, celebrities, and successful business people. This environment helped him carefully craft an image of someone accustomed to luxury living. He excelled at making people comfortable, quickly forming connections, and mastering the art of persuasion. However, he always concealed his true intentions behind a facade of charm and laid-back demeanor. While he maintained steady income and developed good relationships at work, he skillfully presented himself in the best possible light, creating the illusion of upward mobility. His colleagues found him charming but somewhat superficial, someone who never truly opened up yet always appeared fun and relaxed. Clients and friends believed he was living the dream, but this carefully curated image concealed much darker realities. When Alessandro and Giulia began dating, there were no apparent warning signs. Initially, he seemed genuinely interested and caring, knowing exactly what to say to make positive impressions. However, as time progressed, Alessandro's true nature began emerging. Problems started surfacing shortly after they moved in together. Alessandro's playful teasing gradually became increasingly cruel. He would make disparaging comments about her accent, implying that Southern Italians were inferior to Northerners. He publicly mocked her beloved football team, despite knowing how much it meant to her. Initially, Giulia dismissed this as harmless banter, but it became clear that his words carried deeper malice. Their arguments became more frequent, with Alessandro becoming angry over trivial matters: how she arranged their home, her responses to his comments, even how she answered his questions. She often felt wrong-footed because he would interrupt conversations or simply ignore her. During these episodes, he became cold and detached, only to suddenly return to his charming self, as if nothing had happened. This pattern of emotional volatility became their norm: loving and attentive one day, indifferent the next. The biggest lie was Alessandro's double life, which Giulia never saw coming. While she believed Alessandro worked nights at the bar, he had been deceiving her for months. He had begun seeing another woman, let's call her Algra, whom he met at work shortly after moving in with Giulia. Algra was younger, multilingual, and advancing her career in the hotel industry. Alessandro presented himself as single, claiming he was no longer with Giulia, and that she was merely living with him temporarily while searching for her own place. Neither woman knew about the other's existence. Alessandro played different roles with each, weaving his lies so smoothly that nothing seemed suspicious. He lived in the present with one while discussing future plans with the other, never considering that his deception might eventually unravel. Meanwhile, his relationship with Giulia continued deteriorating. Something felt wrong, though she couldn't identify exactly what. Her unease grew steadily, while Alessandro maintained his double act, unaware that the truth was approaching. By late 2022, Giulia began noticing changes in her body: constant fatigue, unusual cravings, and missed periods. Not wanting to delay, she took a pregnancy test. Seeing 2 clear lines, she knew she was expecting a child. The news brought mixed emotions. While she had always wanted a family, her relationship with Alessandro had been troubled in recent months. Nevertheless, she knew she had to tell him in person. Giulia nervously shared the news when the moment felt right, anticipating various possible reactions: shock, joy, perhaps even some fear. But Alessandro's expression remained unreadable. After several seconds of silence, he asked just one question: "Are you sure?" Giulia felt a chilling distance between them. His response lacked any interest in her feelings or the pregnancy's progression. His indifference was impossible to ignore. In the following days, he never discussed it again. No future plans, no interest in upcoming doctor's appointments. She felt isolated, but held on to hope that he would eventually accept the situation and offer support. As the new year began, Alessandro's mood remained unchanged. Giulia found herself spending evenings alone, contemplating her future. Despite continuing to work and trying to focus on other matters, anxiety began setting in. Simultaneously, Alessandro's secret life took an unexpected turn. In early 2023, he discovered that his other partner, Algra, was also pregnant. The news left him reeling with its implications. Like Giulia, Algra was unaware of the other woman's existence and believed she and Alessandro were in a committed relationship. However, unlike Giulia, Algra was uncertain about continuing the pregnancy. Recognizing his carefully constructed lie was crumbling, Alessandro persuaded Algra that having a child wasn't ideal at that time. He told her he would support whatever decision she made, while making it clear he favored ending the pregnancy. After considerable deliberation, Algra agreed. Alessandro accompanied her to the medical procedure, hoping that with Algra's pregnancy resolved, he could address what he viewed as the bigger problem: Giulia's decision to keep her baby. When Giulia remained determined to continue her pregnancy while Algra didn't, Alessandro realized he was losing control. Her firm decision disrupted his plans, forcing him to find alternative solutions to what he perceived as a problem. By late 2022, he had begun systematically researching poisons. He scoured the internet for methods to harm someone without detection, investigating substances that were both potent and difficult to trace. His research included chemicals found in household products, plant-based toxins, and even dangerous compounds like cyanide and ricin. Most options proved either too difficult to obtain or left obvious traces in the body. He eventually settled on rat poison, products designed to eliminate rodents. These were readily available over the counter without raising suspicions. His research indicated that certain types worked slowly, causing internal bleeding, weakness, and anemia, symptoms easily mistaken for pregnancy complications. Alessandro began implementing his plan in early 2023, adding small amounts of the toxic substance to Giulia's food and drinks, hoping her health would gradually deteriorate. Within weeks, she began experiencing strange symptoms: constant exhaustion, dizziness, nausea, and sharp abdominal pain. Giulia mentioned feeling unwell to friends, but attributed it to normal pregnancy symptoms, unaware that something far more sinister was occurring. Although Alessandro expected the effects to worsen more rapidly, the poison wasn't working as quickly as anticipated. Frustrated, he continued searching for ways to increase potency, but results remained disappointing. Giulia remained ill, but her body was fighting back and the pregnancy continued progressing. This infuriated Alessandro. His initial plan had failed, and he needed to devise another escape from this predicament. Alessandro's control had always come easily to him. He carefully orchestrated his lies, knowing exactly what to say to make each woman believe his version of events. Giulia thought he was simply struggling with the pregnancy news and would eventually come around. Algra, meanwhile, remained convinced his previous relationship had ended long ago. However, one misstep shattered the image he had worked so hard to construct. Algra began noticing Alessandro's tension whenever they discussed his past. He seemed uncomfortable talking about his life before they met, never showed her his social media, and avoided mentioning his ex-girlfriend. Initially, this didn't seem suspicious, but gradually more inconsistencies emerged. The real turning point came when Algra accidentally discovered recent photos of him with Giulia on his phone. The way they looked at each other and their physical closeness made it clear they were still together. Not wanting to jump to conclusions, Algra began paying closer attention and making mental notes. He frequently claimed to be working late, but his hotel colleagues confirmed he had actually left early. He would sometimes not answer his phone, then provide explanations that didn't quite make sense. When Algra finally confronted Alessandro about the photos, he didn't miss a beat. He immediately claimed that Giulia couldn't accept their breakup and was deliberately sharing those pictures to upset him. Algra wanted to believe him, but his story felt wrong. As she asked more questions, his answers became increasingly unbelievable. Realizing he was losing control, Alessandro quickly changed tactics, claiming that Giulia wasn't just unwilling to move on. She had also lied about being pregnant to manipulate him. He was now trying to convince Algra that there was no baby at all. But his desperation only raised more doubts. As a last-ditch effort to strengthen his lie, Alessandro even fabricated a DNA test as proof that he had no connection to the child, altering a document he had downloaded online. Algra initially believed this version of events, but still harbored doubts. Something about the situation made her feel like she didn't know the whole truth. After a few days, she decided to investigate for herself. Using Alessandro's phone while he slept, Algra called Giulia. The response came almost immediately. Giulia didn't sound like someone obsessed with revenge. She sounded like someone seeking answers. Algra suggested they meet in person the next day. Both women knew their conversation would change everything. They met at the hotel where Algra worked, both tense and determined. Algra still didn't grasp the full extent of Alessandro's deception, while Giulia couldn't believe the man she had planned to marry had been living a double life. The conversation began carefully. Algra spoke first, sharing what she had discovered. She told Giulia that Alessandro claimed his previous relationship was over, then mentioned the supposed DNA test, proving the baby wasn't his. Giulia listened intently. Algra quietly revealed that the test was fabricated. When Giulia finished speaking, her pregnancy timeline aligned perfectly with their time together, and she had never agreed to any test. More importantly, she confirmed that she and Alessandro were still living together, and that he had never given her any indication their relationship was ending. With each passing minute, Algra gained a clearer picture of the situation. She had been deceived from the beginning. Her entire understanding of their relationship shifted, and for the first time, she was certain of the truth. Despite feeling hurt and disappointed, she felt no anger toward Giulia. In fact, it became painfully clear that they were both caught in the same web of lies. They talked for over an hour, sharing details and assembling the complete picture of Alessandro's deception. As their conversation concluded, they no longer saw each other as adversaries, but felt a strong bond of shared experience. That's when Giulia made her final decision. She was done. She no longer wanted to be with a man who had manipulated her emotions and hidden a secret life. Alessandro had no place in her future or her child's. She belonged to herself and her unborn baby. When Giulia returned home, she didn't wait for the right moment to confront Alessandro. She did it immediately, telling him she knew everything and that their relationship was over. His response was predictable: denial followed by anger, accusing her of invading his privacy. But Giulia wasn't interested in his excuses. She told him firmly that she was returning to Naples and never wanted to see him again. That night, she texted her mother and sister about her decision. They supported her completely and offered to help in any way possible. Giulia told them she would return in a few days, but needed to handle some matters in Milan first. She had no idea it would be her last night alive. On May 27, 2023, following Giulia's discovery of his betrayal and her decision to leave, Alessandro lost complete control. Everything he had hidden was now exposed: his lies, his double life, his manipulation. Giulia had turned away from him, stopped listening to him, and made up her mind to leave. Her composure infuriated him. Being in a position where his deception was discovered and having no control over the situation made him feel powerless. He felt like he was losing authority over both Giulia and the carefully crafted image he had worked so hard to create. That day, their confrontation was so intense that their relationship definitively ended. Alessandro kept trying to talk, but Giulia wouldn't listen. She continued packing her belongings without showing any emotion. Her silence fueled his anger. Alessandro told her she was making a mistake, that he loved her and she should reconsider. But Giulia didn't respond. He became even more enraged, shouting loudly to get her attention, but she refused to argue. When he realized her decision was final, he completely lost control of his rage. In a fit of fury, he grabbed a knife from the counter and attacked her. The assault was sudden and precise. Giulia couldn't defend herself. After 37 stab wounds, including 2 fatal wounds to the neck, Alessandro stood over her body, finally comprehending the magnitude of what he had done. Knowing that blood leaves traces, he couldn't simply leave things as they were. He understood that merely hiding the body wouldn't be sufficient. He dragged her to the bathroom, doused her with accelerant, and set her on fire, hoping to destroy evidence of the crime. But the fire didn't accomplish what he had envisioned. The flames burned, but didn't completely destroy the remains. Panic set in. He had no backup plan. He gathered cleaning supplies and rags, beginning to scrub blood from floors, walls, and furniture. Despite vigorous scrubbing, stains wouldn't completely disappear. The apartment still resembled a crime scene. Even knowing he couldn't eliminate all evidence of what had occurred, he remained convinced he could escape responsibility. He didn't realize that investigators would soon piece together all the evidence and prove his guilt. While Giulia's body remained in the bathroom, Alessandro began contemplating how to conceal his crime. Though his attempt to burn the evidence had failed, he needed another plan. The first priority was making her disappear. He decided to make it appear that Giulia had left voluntarily. Using her phone, he began texting her friends and family. Knowing they would worry if she suddenly vanished, he needed to create the impression that she had departed on her own. He texted her mother, saying she needed some time alone. A brief, vague message perfect for avoiding suspicion. He then messaged one of Giulia's friends, claiming she had left but wasn't ready to reveal her destination. His goal was to buy time to make it appear she had simply left independently. But that wasn't the end of his plan. He was certain someone would eventually contact police, so he did it himself just hours after the crime, reporting Giulia as missing. His story was straightforward. She had left the house after an argument and never returned. He claimed he went to work that morning and found her gone when he returned. When Alessandro reported Giulia missing, police followed standard procedures for such cases. The first major clue came when forensic experts discovered blood in his car. Modern forensic technology allowed detectives to find biological evidence, despite his cleaning attempts. Quick testing confirmed the blood belonged to Giulia. The second piece of evidence was found in the apartment building's common areas. light red stains on stairs, and hallways that initially appeared to be dust or spilled liquid, but chemical analysis revealed them to be partially cleaned blood traces. Investigators also noticed Alessandro's strange behavior. He didn't display genuine concern typical of someone whose loved one was missing. He didn't seek help from Giulia's family in finding her and made no effort to publicize her disappearance. He only did what was minimally required to officially report someone missing, which increased suspicion. Detectives made a crucial discovery when examining his electronics. They seized his computer, phone, and tablet, finding shocking content including search histories for months before the crime, showing research into poisons, their effects, and methods of harming someone undetected. Some searches even explored why certain poisons might not work as expected. The fabricated DNA test he had shown Algra was another crucial piece of evidence. Forensic analysis proved the document had been altered and downloaded from a website allowing people to modify medical records. As evidence mounted, it became increasingly difficult for Alessandro to maintain his story. Investigators applied more pressure, pointing out each inconsistency. Initially, he stuck to his story, claiming ignorance. But with each police interrogation, they presented more facts he couldn't escape. They showed him photos of bloodstains, questioned him about his search history, and called witnesses who had heard shouting and loud noises from their apartment. When police examined Alessandro's movements in the days after Giulia went missing, they made a significant discovery that strengthened their case. Surveillance footage showed that in the days following her disappearance, he made several trips to the garage with bags, returning without them. As evidence accumulated, Alessandro's story began crumbling. Eventually, at 2:30 a.m. on May 31st, Impagnatiello confessed to murdering his girlfriend, revealing where he had hidden her body. Giulia's remains were discovered by police on June 1st, 2023, in an overgrown area near Sinigo. Despite his attempts to destroy evidence, forensic examination was able to determine cause of death and obtain solid proof of his responsibility for the crime. In November 2024, Alessandro Impagnatiello was sentenced to life imprisonment by the Milan Court of Assizes. He was convicted of aggravated voluntary manslaughter with premeditation, cruelty, futile motives, and killing his cohabitant, as well as non-consensual interruption of pregnancy and concealment of a corpse. The tragic story of Giulia Tramontano's death shocked Italy. In a country where crimes against women have long been a serious problem, her case served as another painful reminder of the dangers that can lurk behind seemingly loving partners. Protests erupted across the country following Alessandro's arrest, with women taking to the streets demanding harsher punishments for domestic violence crimes. Memorial marches were held in Milan, Naples, Rome, and other cities, with calls for systemic changes to better protect vulnerable individuals. Giulia's sister spoke at one of the protests, urging lawmakers to address the alarming number of cases where real consequences don't come until it's too late. Her words echoed the frustration of countless families who have lost loved ones to gender-based violence. Forensic experts and detectives worked to understand the mind behind this crime. Court-appointed psychiatrists found that Alessandro displayed strong narcissistic traits. He showed no genuine remorse for his actions, and his behavior during interrogations and court proceedings revealed deep self-centeredness and complete lack of empathy. He viewed other people solely through the lens of his own self-interest, disregarding their feelings and experiences. His actions were motivated by a desire to protect his image and maintain control over those around him. Any loss of power triggered dangerous reactions. During the trial, Alessandro attempted to show remorse, but neither Giulia's family nor the public believed him. He claimed he didn't understand how he could have done something so terrible, insisting it was an act of spontaneous anger, committed without awareness. However, the evidence told a different story. His online searches for poisons, the attempted poisoning, the fabricated DNA test, and the false police report all demonstrated premeditation. After Alessandro's arrest and conviction, Algra cooperated with police. She provided their text messages as evidence of his lies to both women and testified about the fake DNA test and his multiple attempts to deceive her during the proceedings. Courtroom observers noted Algra's visible distress. Had she not accidentally discovered those photos on his phone, the truth might have emerged too late. During her testimony, she spoke about her guilt regarding Giulia. even though she knew she too had been deceived. Following the trial, Algra avoided speaking to reporters, stayed out of public view, and tried to distance herself from the tragedy. She reportedly left Milan and moved to another city, attempting to start fresh without constant reminders of this case. In the judge's closing remarks, it was made clear that such acts could not be excused by momentary loss of control or brief emotional distress. Alessandro's behaviors over several months demonstrated his intent to eliminate Giulia. Her case served as a tragic reminder of how dangerous it can be when partners view their loved ones as possessions rather than people. But Giulia's story was heard. It sparked outrage and initiated a movement to protect those who could still be saved. Her memory continues to inspire efforts to combat gender-based violence and protect vulnerable individuals from those who would harm them. Through her tragic death, Giulia Tramontano became a symbol in Italy's ongoing fight against femicide, ensuring that her life and the circumstances of her death would not be forgotten. Her story serves as both a warning and a call to action, reminding society of the urgent need to recognize and address the warning signs of domestic violence before it's too late. This case raises important questions about recognizing red flags in relationships and protecting vulnerable individuals from domestic violence. What are your thoughts on this tragic story? Have you noticed warning signs that others might have missed? We want to hear from you in the comments below. Share your thoughts, experiences, or insights about how society can better protect people from domestic violence. Warning signs that shouldn't be ignored in relationships. Ways to support survivors and prevent future tragedies. Your reaction to this case and its impact. If this story moved you or made you think, please like this video to show your support. Leave a comment with your thoughts and reactions. Subscribe to Dark True Crime Stories and hit the notification bell so you never miss our true crime documentaries. Share this story to raise awareness about domestic violence. Your engagement helps us reach more people with these important stories. Together, we can honor Giulia's memory by working to prevent similar tragedies and supporting those who need help. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.